Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your host, Nic and Steve. And today we're going to talk about something that everybody does, but science doesn't really know what it's for. It's classic sleep.
Yes.
And we've got some great biochemistry for sleep. We've got what happens if you don't sleep. We're going to talk about ways you can help you sleep, simple tricks, old wives' tales, all sorts of things around sleep. But basically at the end of this podcast, you'll sleep like a...
Hopefully you won't be asleep.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to say you sleep like a baby, but they just wake up screaming, don't they?
Apparently so,
I've never had one, I wouldn't know. But so you can't sleep like a baby, can you?
No.
So we're talking all things sleep and some really cool tricks and take-home messages and what you can do. I've got a little table here from a study. Got another study here about an app, which, of course, because I'm so tech savvy, I know everything about apps. All over that sort of,
aren't you?
Yeah, Instaface or whatever it's called. So all that sort of stuff. And we're going to talk about some biochemistry about sleep and all sorts of home remedies. But what does sleep do? What are some of the things that sleep does in our body?
Well, sleep is super important.
Yes.
I mean, we'd die if we didn't sleep, we would actually physically die after a certain amount of time without sleep because the body would
14
shut down.
days, apparently.
Is it 14 days?
I found one guy died after 14 days.
Really? 14 days without sleep? How would you even do that?
I won't say in the circumstances it was done because it was horrific, but it was literally a torture test.
Yeah. Oh, well, how did that
Badly.
go for him? Not well.
No. It was like it was a captive person. And they kept him awake for 14 days.
Oh, right. So literally days. A torturous...
Yeah.
Okay, I take
to
that.
get information out of him.
Back.
Yeah. No, it was a bad...
That's taken a turn that I didn't expect.
It was bad. It was terrible. So without sleep, you die. But what does it do in the body? I mean, we all know we need it. We all lacked it and you feel like crap. But what does it do?
Well, it's really important for... our body does a lot of detoxification overnight as well. So that's really important for that. It's really important for energy conservation, energy production as well. If we're not sleeping, we're not producing energy overly well. Brain waste clearance. So brain detoxification.
Wow.
Yeah, so detoxing that lymphatic system.
Yeah, you've got to be careful how you say that. People think lymphatic system. There's no lymph in your brain.
No,
it's a lymphatic with a G for glymph.
Yeah. So you detoxify that overnight. So if you're not sleeping well, people can get brain fog and concentration issues and things with lack of sleep.
Yep.
You can get brain inflammation, that type of thing. So that's a really important thing that you need to be sleeping for your brain health.
Yep.
Immune system as well. So it helps to keep your immune system nice and balanced.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's cognition.
Yep.
Performance.
Yep.
Psychological state, so a mental state, really important to sleep for that as well. Yeah. Keeps diseases under control for the most part because that comes back to the immune system. So many reasons.
I mean, we've all suffered lack of sleep.
Yes.
And currently, if you took a survey in Australia, 10% of people have classified insomnia. Not like I was up late last night because a staff member here said to me first thing came in, I'm a bit tired today because my kid kept awake. That's not insomnia.
No.
Insomnia is there's no other reason, you just can't sleep.
Yes.
And you have, if you have a stressful event and you can't sleep, that's not insomnia either. It's literally no other reason. You just can't sleep.
Yeah.
10% of Australians have that right at this moment.
That's quite high, isn't it?
2.6 million Australians.
Yeah.
That's incredibly high.
Yeah.
And that's not like for a day or two. This is like chronic insomnia.
Yeah.
A lot of elderly.
Yes. Very, very high in the elderly.
So this insomnia thing is really tricky and it's treated classically with medications. We all know about sleeping tablets and all sorts of things like that. In the old days, everybody, even back if you look at the medical studies from the 1800s, way back in the whoopsie days, and I've got a paper here from the 1800s, you're not going to believe this.
It's a paper from the 1800s.
It's a paper from the 1800s. Wow. You're not going to believe it. I went back in PubMed and I got a paper from the 1800s, and you know what they used to treat insomnia with? Like a classic home remedy?
Tell me, Steve.
Chlorohydrate.
Chlorohydrate.
Yeah. And that was our first sleeping sort of tablet, and it was a great little home remedy that everyone used to take to help them sleep. It had a few minor side effects.
You tell me.
Like kidney, heart and liver failure.
Oh, minor.
Just 3 things.
Just minor.
Nothing more. Yeah. And that was for long-term use, which people took long-term.
Nice.
Because you've got to remember, if you're struggling with insomnia, and 1 in 10 people do, and you've got this substance that puts you to sleep,
you can take it.
You go, and back in the 1800s, there was no side effects to these things. No. And so chronically, your organs shut down. And then, of course, if you took it acutely, it would cause irregular breathing, cardiac irregularities and coma.
No, well, there's your sleep. Steve.
Sleep sorted. So, this was first, these medicines were first developed in 1832.
Yeah.
And they also used to use other home remedies like foxglove, a herb, but which is rich in digitalis.
Yes.
Now, digitalis is used in hospitals for cardiac problems, but it would slow down your respiratory rate and put you to sleep.
Yes.
And I told this to my...
use it in herbal medicine.
No, we don't. But digitalis is used in hospitals. And my wife, Rebecca's nurse there, she's given out digitalis for cardiac patients for a low dose, medically controlled. But it's a real dangerous drug. It can literally stop your heart.
Yeah, literally.
So we've got these old remedies which weren't really good. And then in the 1904, they developed barbiturates, which were addictive, terrible sleeping agents as well. And nowadays we've got the benzos, the Z drugs, the zolpidem and those sort of drugs, which put you to sleep.
Highly addictive, a lot of those.
They're very addictive too. They're not as dangerous barbiturates because if you overdose on the benzos, you don't typically die.
Yeah.
Barbiturates, you do die.
Yeah.
One of the greatest musicians that ever walked the earth died of sleeping tablet overdose. Good old Keith Moon.
Okay.
You know Keith Moon. Does everyone know Keith Moon?
I don't know Keith Moon. I know you've talked about him, but I can't remember. Is he a guitarist or something? Sorry, Steve. He's looking at me with dagger eyes.
With a drug overdose, it's got to be a drummer, doesn't it?
Oh, okay, drummer. Oh, there you go. Is he the one that strapped things to his head?
Yes.
Tell that story. They strapped the earphones to his head because he's so out of it.
He was on cocaine at the time, and he was recording a song.
Did it with duct tape.
And this will give you a clue with the band, but the song was "Who Are You."
Oh,
and he was on super duper dosed out in cocaine and couldn't stop himself shaking and convulsing. So they strapped their earphones to his head during the studio recording. This is not a live gig. This is now Keith Moon is probably one of the best drummers that ever lived, and he's from, of course, The Who. Yeah. And the bass player. But between them, they're in history, muso history, they're probably one of the best rhythm sections that ever could combined. And of course, the bass player died of drug overdose too in Vegas. I think cocaine with hookers and stuff was quite, typical
classic
musos.
story,
But Moon the Loon died, I think it was 31 or 32, and super duper sleeping tablet because he was just addicted to so many drugs.
Yeah, wow.
So these things are quite, he died in the same bed as Mama Cats.
Oh God!
You know Mama Cats?
Is either.
Oh Jesus!
Sorry, Steve.
These are all famous musos.
Oh, I mean, I'm not that much younger than you either.
You're 28. I'm 54, so a little bit younger than me.
That's right. Steve,
But so these things have a little bit of a history to them and all these sorts of stuff. And of course, they use morphine for sleep as well. So sleep has this like everyone recognised how important it was because you saw what happened if you didn't sleep.
Yes.
And you look, I don't mind disclosing this, or hope you don't mind me disclosing this. You didn't sleep well last night, and you're feeling a bit tired today.
I'm feeling extremely tired. Yes, I get up at 3:45 on the days that I come in to record. So so I'm usually tired, and I don't usually sleep much that night because I'm all conscious that I've got to get up, and then I've got to get up and drive 4 hours. So I'm usually exhausted by the time I get here. So and it definitely does impact cognition, everything. So it is super important.
All right. Speaking of important, I want you to outline what does impaired sleep do to people, really chronic impaired sleep. I know you got a beautiful graph there from a paper.
Graph,
and it shows you, this is like a scary graph. So this is chronic. This is not, podcast sleeping. This is like chronic insomnia. What are some of the things it causes?
So there's quite a few side effects of impaired sleep. Depression is one.
Ooh, that's bad.
Quite bad. Heart failure, that's not a good one, Steve.
That's probably something you need to consider.
Yes, I would say so. Respiratory disease is another one. Polypharmacy. I don't know if people know what polypharmacy is, but that's when you're taking medications and then you take more and then you take more. So you're taking quite a big mix of medications.
For the Greek followers, poly means many.
Many, yeah, exactly. So that's something as well. I mean, people will take one medication for sleep and that doesn't work. And also things work for a little while and then don't. So then they'll layer more medications on top. So that can be quite dangerous. Parkinson's disease, Steve. Yeah.
Gee
so
whiz.
interestingly with the brain stuff, so Parkinson's, depression, dementia is another one. So that's coming back to that brain detoxification.
Yeah, the lymphatic systems, exactly. So you got to remember that the polypharmacy one, there's also drugs you take that actually stop you sleeping.
That's right.
In fact, they prescribe, like amphetamines to help you lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, so that'll stop you sleeping.
That definitely will.
Slightly.
Slightly, yes. Slightly.
What else?
Yeah, GORD. So basically reflux.
Reflux, yep.
That can be part of it. Nocturia.
Nocturia. Geez, you don't want that either.
No.
I mean, this is pretty sad. This is like lots of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And the polypharmacy one's really bad because, you know, let's say you're on amphetamines to lose weight because you're overweight.
Yeah.
But the problem is lack of sleep can also cause you to gain weight.
It can.
Now, I mean,
Definitely
that's remarkable. Can you outline some of the stuff? That's really interesting because, you know, you're not sleeping well and you put on weight. How does that work?
So there's a few different factors that will contribute to that. One of them is cortisol.
Yes.
So if you're not sleeping, and that can impact, well, this can go either way. So cortisol can impact sleep, and then not sleeping can also impact cortisol levels as well.
Yep.
So we know that we have elevated cortisol levels. That does impact our blood sugar regulation, and therefore that can lead to weight gain as well. It increases ghrelin and decreases leptin.
Yep, so that's exactly right. So ghrelin makes you hungry,
Yeah.
and leptin stops you from being hungry. So that actually increases your appetite dramatically.
Yeah.
So do you crave broccoli and red meat?
For
and
sure,
lean?
yeah.
Yeah,
Get
that's
up in the
what
middle
you
of the
crave.
night and scrounge through the fridge for broccoli.
Where does your appetite tend to go when you're lacking
So you'll
sleep?
generally go for carbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, those starchy carbohydrates,
Yep.
comfort foods, things like that. So, you know, people sometimes they can't sleep and they wake up and they're hungry.
Yeah.
So that's that factor. And also blood sugar. So that cortisol, blood sugar.
Yes.
And we can talk about foods and how you eat during the day can impact your sleep as well, but foods that you can eat can impact your blood sugar, so that's going to cause you to get up and want to eat as well. Obviously, craving more sweet foods as well, so if you're going to eat those, you're going to put weight. Sometimes you're taking more food in if you're getting up in the middle of the night to eat. Snacking, all that sort of thing at night time. So
it's remarkable. So we've got this terrible scenario where people that are not sleeping are putting on weight because their appetite increases dramatically, and then they respond to that.
And I have to say, even if you're not eating in the middle of the night, so you're waking up and you're not eating and you're not sort of giving into some of these cravings, you can still put on weight because you're still getting that stress response. So I know many people, clients, that they have very poor sleep, they won't get up and snack, and they still really try to eat well, but that cortisol response, so that stress response, is still activating cortisol and it's still causing blood sugar dysregulation. So even if you're not eating in the middle of the night, it still can impact your ability to lose weight or to maintain weight.
And it gets worse because let's say you don't sleep. Do you feel like getting up and going for a run in the morning or a walk or a gym
That's
or a swim?
the other thing. No, you do not.
You feel like crap.
You
We've all
really
done
do.
that before. And, you know, I mean, you got up at 3:45. I didn't ask you. I haven't asked you this, but did you exercise this morning when you wake up?
Look, I didn't exercise this morning because I only had about 4 hours sleep. I know. And I would have had to get up at 3. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to get up at 3 this morning to exercise. So I made sure I exercised yesterday to make up for it, and I will tomorrow morning. But
Good on you.
But yeah, definitely not. And that's, I guess, where also you have to listen to your body as well, because if you have had 3 hours of sleep and you want to go and do a workout, the workout's going to be suboptimal. It could also cause further stress response as well, because your body is just, you don't have the capacity. So you have to also read your body's cues. And if you're super tired, don't train, because it could be counterproductive as well.
Absolutely. And you've got a plan to train down the track. You're not just, you know, stopping forever and that sort of thing. It's really tricky, this whole sleep thing, because without this sort of detox of the brain, your brain literally becomes toxic.
Yeah.
So your thinking becomes distorted, you become depressed, you become anxious, you become all sorts of things, lack of sleep. Studies on chronic insomniacs is horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it really ends bad for them. There's no sort of upside for this sort of thing. So lack of sleep. And lack of sleep sort of, you know, as I said, drives up cortisol, but drives down melatonin. Now, we've got a bit of controversy about melatonin, haven't we?
There is a little bit of controversy about melatonin. Yes.
So melatonin's a hormone secreted when you sleep, and if you're not sleeping well, you don't secrete melatonin.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a male, so I want testosterone through the roof. How does melatonin relate to testosterone levels in men? And I'll elaborate by saying mammals.
Mammals,
Yes.
So melatonin causes the Leydig cells to produce more testosterone. So
Which is the cells in
your testes.
Don't do that when you say testes.
Don't I? I have to sit on my hands.
That looks so bad on camera.
I talk with my hands. I'm a very bad talker with my hands, so I have to sit on my hands. Yeah. So testes, Steve.
Yes, that's it.
That's reducing the testes, so it can increase your testosterone levels. For those that are listening,
for those
they
that
know
are just
what I'm
listening,
doing.
yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so melatonin increases testosterone production in Leydig cells, which mammals have, non-mammals don't. So there was a bit of controversy at one stage saying that people think melatonin it suppresses testosterone or something like that. Of course, we now know that not to be true because of those studies you just, that we're quoting there, which is...
I think the study, it was a prominent person said something about it actually reduces testosterone, but the study was done on a rooster.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. They've done them on all sorts of animals. This is a study, just reading it, a Biological Reproductive 2021. It says melatonin promotes male reproductive performance and increases testosterone sense in mammalian Leydig cells. Exactly what you said is the title of the journal. So that's what we've got to look at there. And so we're talking about mammals. So, and we are mammals, humans. We don't give a shit about non-mammals. They can do whatever they want. but for us, it's all about the mammals. So that's very interesting. So sleep also causes a lack in testosterone. But who gets more insomnia, men or women?
Women.
Sadly. Do they? No, that's not sad.
Sadly, women
that's not
get
sad at
more
all. What are you talking about?
I could think of a few reasons that are not,
Come on, men get more cancer, we get more heart disease.
Only to a certain point, Steve.
I know, and then
it evens out.
It evens up later.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still have more cancer. So you guys can get more insomnia. That's something you can cop, isn't it? You live longer, you got all the benefits, you get...
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
You get more and more autoimmune diseases, though.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, look, Steve, I can't. We don't have 3 hours to tell you exactly all the things that women have to go throughout our lives. But anyway.
Geez, really? They have to put up with men, don't they?
That's true.
Mostly.
That is true.
Mostly.
Yeah. But yes, women do suffer from higher amounts of insomnia.
So why is that? What are the reasons for that?
Well, I think a lot of it's hormonal based.
Yep.
For one, I mean, women's hormones fluctuate, throughout the months.
I know.
And if they're imbalanced, they can fluctuate wildly. So there's that. Menopausal women really struggle with insomnia or it's really, really significant. And that's because they lose the progesterone, which is GABAergic. It's relaxing on the body.
You mentioned GABAergic. That's the thing that helps you sleep, GABA things.
GABA. So, it's one of the calming neurotransmitters. So they can find that sleep is significantly impaired there. Some of the other factors are socioeconomic factors, and this is from a study. Everybody, this is
is from a study.
We can put the link up to that.
Yeah.
So lower income or education level. I have to say, in this day and age, I think that might be a little bit less likely than maybe 20 years ago. Perhaps.
Yeah, true.
Because women are probably a little bit more on par there.
Absolutely.
Osteoporosis, fractures, back problems, so more likely to have physical problems that can impair their sleep.
Yep.
So osteoporosis, I guess, is a big one.
Yep.
Okay. Steve wanted me to read this out.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Steve wouldn't, but he made me read this out, everybody.
Yeah, I've got a gun in my head. Yeah, go, read it out.
So according to this study, females have higher risk of developing certain psychiatric problems, such as depression and anxiety. But I circle back to hormones because hormones are massive drivers of depression and anxiety. So, and also women, we haven't talked about women that have children or young children or babies.
God, why would you do that?
It's going to impact how they're sleeping as well.
It does.
So this is, I think, all some of the contributing factors as to why women do suffer more insomnia than men.
They do, yeah.
But yes, it's, like as I said, women's hormones throughout our lives, we have multiple shifts throughout our lives, and in those shifts we have other shifts, so that definitely can impact sleep.
And I think women worry more, like they worry about things more. They take on more stress in relationships.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually, I'm being very stereotypical here, but they seem to worry more about certain situations. I know women seek medical help more. So
yeah, I think that's because women are more inclined to look after their health than men.
Oh, of course they are.
And look, this is a generalisation. I'm sure there's many men out there that look after their health and do all the right things as well. And, that sort of thing. So
Probably not many. There's a few of us that do, but yeah.
Yes, but yeah, so yeah, women definitely will go to the doctor more than a man will. Yeah.
True. And so this is really interesting because there is a gender difference. Now I looked through this study, and this was a study called Gender Difference in Prevalence of Insomnia. So it's a meta-analysis in the Frontier Journal of Psychiatry. So it's quite a 2020, quite a big journal.
Yeah.
And they did also modify for, women report it more, for example, because insomnia is, as I said, on its own causes all sorts of dramas.
Yeah.
But in women, it's vastly higher because of those reasons. And that accounts for the recording, so women will seek out more help. Really, really problematic because a lot of women also take more insomnia tablets.
Yes.
So the study, I didn't print it out here, but the study went on and said that they treat more. Now treatment, if you're talking about the way we treat compared to what the medical people treat, the first line treatment for a insomniac person is a sleeping tablet.
Yeah.
And, they've got their uses short term. Every drug on the planet's got uses, maybe not chlorohydrate, that's a bit of a bad one.
Probably
and digitalis and barbiturates, but they're sort of old school ones. But the benzos that they're promoting these days, like the mogadons, all those sorts, temazepam, they've got their uses, but short-term stuff.
Yeah.
But long-term, it can be problematic and you can get addiction, but you also get rebound insomnia once you go off them.
Yes, that's right. And that's where that people that can get off them, then the insomnia gets worse, so they get back on them. So it becomes a vicious cycle.
I know, and you feel crap without sleep. So we forget all the heart diseases and all that. You just feel like you can't achieve anything without sleep.
Yes.
We've all done it before. We've all stayed up watching the cricket or tennis or whatever and, just lack sleep for one night, and that's bad enough.
Well, I remember years and years ago, a long time ago, 20, 30 years ago, we used to travel from Queensland to Victoria for holidays and things in a car because we had dogs. So we had to take the dogs. And not myself, but we would sort of, my partner and I would sort of swap driving. But there'd be times when I was awake because I would never sleep when my partner was driving in case he fell asleep.
Yes.
So I had to stay awake. So I would be awake for 24 hours. And I remember one time I was awake. I wasn't driving, by the way, when it's 24 hours without sleep. But I was watching the white lines in the middle of the road and they were coming off the road and flying away.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's how bad it can get if you don't.
You sure that wasn't the LSD you took?
Oh, it might have been actually, Steve. Now you mention it.
No. I've similar. It's I've said this before. We used to be in a band, and insomnia, or staying up all night was about once a week. I'd stay up all night in the band. You'd do a gig, and it just didn't you'd have to go to the next town that night. So you'd pack up all night, and when it became dawn, you'd start driving at 4:35 in the morning when it started getting light, so you wouldn't hit a kangaroo.
Yeah.
And when in my 20s, I could stay up all night for one night. But the next night, you were tripping out.
Yeah.
You were tripping out. It was horrible.
Yeah.
We'd be on no-dose tablets and other things that weren't so legal. And, we were drinking, 2-litre Cokes, full sugar Cokes.
Yeah.
So you imagine the health. It was just terrible.
Yeah.
You have to block that adenosine with caffeine just to stay conscious.
That's right. Yeah.
And we would just do stupid things all night. Drive the bus all night. Everyone would be asleep or passed out in the back, and I'd be up there semi-sober, so it was good.
Times.
But okay, so good times. Just never doing that again. But all right, let's talk about, you talked about weight gain before, and let's start talking about what we can do about some hacks that we really got. Some of the top, I'm going to say 5, but there's way more. Top things you can do to help you sleep. Now, there's some damn obvious ones.
Yeah.
Which is, try and make it quiet and cool and all this sort of stuff. All
those classic sleep hygiene
we'll
things.
rip through them because it's important.
Yeah.
But make sure it's dark, make sure it's quiet, cool, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Keep lights away from you. Don't do anything stimulatory before sleep unless it's sex. That helps you sleep.
Apparently, yes.
Apparently. I don't know either. I'm married, so I wouldn't know about that sort of thing. But I'm going to hit you with this one.
Okay.
What about, and a lot of people listening to us do exercise. Now, exercise is great to help you sleep, but what if you exercised 2 or 4 hours before you go to bed? Like a lot of my friends do. They get up and do a high-intensity workout. They've actually released a meta-analysis on that.
Yeah, tell me about that, Steve, because I have my own theories on how I hit exercise before bed.
Well, this was a meta-analysis, and they did a high-intensity exercise. They said moderate intensity exercise generally recommended for improving sleep, whereas high intensity exercise prior to bedtime is often discouraged. This is what the first line of the paper, so I'm reading it word for word here.
Yeah.
And this study is publishing the effects of evening high intensity exercise on sleep in healthy adults, and it's a systemic review and meta-analysis, so it's many studies on this, on the high intensity exercise. And what they found was that overall, acute evening high-intensity exercise performed 2 to 4 hours before bedtime does not disrupt nighttime sleep of healthy, young or middle-aged adults. I went, what? And I read through the study and I looked at all this sort of stuff, and they're right. It was very well done. Even you know, where they looked at, you know, rapid eye movement or non-rapid eye movement sleep, it was better to, you know, it's still actually what didn't disrupt your sleep.
I think the key word there is healthy too. We have to highlight the key word is healthy. If you are having some sort of, you know, dysregulation in the body, I think a lot of people who are highly stressed, this would be counterproductive but they're not fitting into this. I guess the study model. They already have high cortisol or cortisol dysregulation, so that's going to push them. But they shouldn't be doing high intensity exercise at any time of the day, let alone before bed.
That's exactly right.
But if you don't have any major health issues, your adrenals are nice and healthy, then apparently it sounds like it's fine to do.
They did find that a subgroup of these individuals cause lack of sleep. And you know what these these people were doing? They're having pre-workouts at 7 or 8 at night.
Great.
You know, and the half-life of caffeine is 5 hours.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can imagine having a 300 to 400 milligram caffeine at about 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's not good.
You won't sleep. And so that group, the sleep was poorer. So if you're wondering why you're not sleeping, and you're doing gym late at night, probably because you're having a pre-workout. And
could be that.
Almost all pre-workouts have caffeine.
That's right.
Or they have, you know, theobromine in it.
Yeah.
Which is a chemical that's found in chocolate, which blocks adenosine in your brain as well. That's why theobromine. Now, you're getting a puppy on Saturday, aren't you?
Sunday. I am, yeah.
Okay. Don't feed your puppy chocolate.
No, definitely do not.
Do you know why?
Kill him.
Yeah, why?
Because the theobromine in it.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Theobromine, they have problems regulating theobromine in their brain, and it just excites their brain to death.
Onions as well. I don't know if that's the same mechanism, but
it breaks down the red blood cells.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyone with a dog, don't give it chocolate or onions.
No, or macadamia nuts that you love.
Oh, macadamia nuts.
It gets caught because they've got a small intestine.
So many things.
Because you know, dogs don't have molars. They have they have canine teeth. Yeah.
Wow, ironic.
Oh, really?
How ironic.
So they swallow these things and wolf it down. You know, so that's a problem too.
Yeah.
So really interesting.
I think that's interesting. But I think also if you're having sleep issues. Probably don't do high intensity exercise. But if you're not having sleep issues, then high intensity exercise sounds like it's not going to have any major negative impact.
And what they found, they did another study here, and they did this on the quality. I'll read the study out because it's a long one. Effect of morning versus evening exercise training on sleep, physical activity, fitness, fatigue, and quality of life in overweight and obese subjects. So, you know, I like to get people to exercise first thing in the morning because they've got nothing to eat, and all it gets out of the way and they'll do it, you know. But they looked at this study, and what they found was, and I'll get to the conclusion straight away, evening moderate intensity exercise could be an effective alternative for overweight obese adults when morning exercise is not improved because it helped them sleep.
There you go.
And that was moderate exercise in the evening. Yeah. So you know, when you're treating someone who's overweight, for example, and you say, don't exercise in the evening because it'll keep you awake. No, you can.
Yeah.
Don't take caffeine before you work out, blah, blah. But it really does help you sleep. Isn't that remarkable?
I do think a nice walk before sleep in the evening is very good.
Yes.
Because it actually helps reduce your cortisol levels as well.
Absolutely.
Do it, you know, maybe don't go to a gym and go on the treadmill with all the music and the lights and things like that. It's overstimulating. If you
all
have
the good-looking girls in lycra.
Anyway, yeah, well, whatever you like to do. But a walk in the evening in the evening light, so dusk, that can be quite good for the nervous system actually, and help to induce a good quality sleep.
It's great. It really is. It really is good. And there are a few other little tricks we can use that are very, very good to help you sleep. The first one is, and we often use the broad term sleep hygiene. Now, there's lots of things you can do that are beyond those few things I mentioned that can really, really help you with sleep. And the first one, weird one here I've got here, is called sleep restriction therapy.
Sleep restriction. I haven't got that paper. Oh, yes, I do. Sorry, Steve.
So sleep restriction therapy is as it sounds, it restricts your sleep. And it's kind of like, what are you talking about? Well, that's like going to going to bed at the same time, waking up. It's keeping a routine. And that sounds all great during the week when everyone's got a 9-to-5 job and they get up. And then they come to the weekend and you know what they say? I'm going to sleep in.
Yeah.
Worst thing for your sleep.
Yeah.
Really bad for your sleep. And it's like, oh, but I've got to catch up on. Well, why do you have to catch up? You know, and everyone I spoke to about lack of sleep is that they're very unproductive after about 9 at night.
Yeah.
Have you ever known anyone to be productive after 9? You know, and if they get to bed at 9 and they have 7 hours sleep, let's say, then it's 4 o'clock, right? You just do the maths on that.
Yeah.
So if they go to sleep at 9 and they get up at 4 in the morning, imagine how much time they've got to do that healthy exercise in the morning.
Yeah.
And even on weekends.
Yep.
The calendar doesn't care
What day
about.
it is.
No, it doesn't. Your body does not care.
No.
And I mean, you must see some. How many of you look? You're a practicing naturopath, Nicole Brown, naturopathy. Google that. How many of your patients have some sort of insomnia?
I'd say at least probably 70%.
Isn't that
60 to
remarkable?
70%.
More than half have some sort of
Yeah.
poor sleeping thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, these simple sort of things you can do can help those people.
Yeah.
But it leads to other sicknesses, doesn't it?
Oh, completely. You know, stress and sleep. So they're the two big things, and that can develop into chronic illness and chronic disease if it isn't managed and it's left to go long enough. Because, as we said, and we said earlier, it dysregulates so many different systems in the body. So, and I don't think people put enough emphasis on the importance of sleep for their health. You know, and I might see clients that are doing everything right, but their sleep is very poor and their sleep hygiene is very poor. Full disclosure, I have times when my sleep hygiene is not great either. I'll sit up and work in front of screens and things at night. So we all do it. No one's perfect.
Of course we do.
But that's one thing they won't change. Or they say the kids have gone to bed. It's 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I need to have my wine, which is another thing that you shouldn't be having before bed.
That's a baddie. Yeah.
Very bad. I need my wine and I just watch some trashy TV because I'm done with the day and I just don't want to think about anything. And I don't want to give that up because that's the only time I have to relax, which is fine. I get it. But then you've got to look at the long-term effects of that.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about health, you know, and I try to get through to clients, it's not all about supplements and that sort of thing that's going to fix you. It's your lifestyle habits that are setting the foundation for your health. And if they're not balanced, then nothing else can be balanced either in your body. So sleep's super, super important, like incredibly important.
And you mentioned stress being the other baddie. I mean, lack of sleep causes stress.
That's right.
You know, really, it even physiologically stresses you out because, you know, you've got a big day ahead of you and you're tired.
Yeah.
And you don't. Oh, look, all right. I'm drinking. There's a little bit of caffeine in here because I like the flavour.
Yes.
And it's a nice product. I won't mention the name of.
Yes.
But it tastes good. But it also peps me up for the day. Now, when we record this afternoon, there will be no caffeine in there.
That's right.
You know, because it's like, you know, that's nuts.
Yeah.
You don't drink caffeine after, you know, I noon. I don't. And you know, that's unusual. I've got that in there, but you know.
Sorry to cut you off, Steve.
No, cut me off.
But it's funny how people say, but caffeine doesn't affect me that way. I can have I have so many people. Wow.
Sorry about that.
Vanessa's just eardrums.
I got mad then because I hear that too.
He just jumped a mile off the seat. What were we saying before?
Caffeine doesn't affect me?
Caffeine doesn't affect, yeah. So people say caffeine doesn't affect me. I can have it before bed and still sleep and it's no problem. Caffeine is still having a physiological effect in your body, whether you are aware of it or not. Yeah. So it's definitely not a good idea to be having caffeine. It's terrible. And past lunchtime.
Can I get a little nerdy? I know it's not nerdy, but we've got these 4 stages of REM sleep. We've got non-REM sleep, right? This is where there's these stages and there's deep sleep and then there's shallow sleep. You don't know when you're asleep which one you're in.
Yeah.
You know, and so you need to get to that deep sleep. And caffeine stops that.
Yes.
So you feel like crap next day because you can't recover.
Yeah.
And then, I drink a cup of coffee before bed, I'm fine. No.
Yeah.
It's not good for you.
No. If you really want to do something caffeinated, have some green tea before bed.
Yes.
Because it's got the L-theanine in it, which actually blocks that cortisol response. So that's a much safer way to do it. But yeah, anything stimulating past lunchtime can definitely impact your sleep. So, and that can include anything stimulating: food, environmental things, any of that sort of thing. So if you're, the afternoon when And we've talked about circadian rhythm in a previous sleep podcast, which Matt might link to that one perhaps. But you want to have everything bright and, sort of stimulating in the mornings. And then as the day goes on, you have less stimulation, darker, less stimulation, and that calms the nervous system down, calms the body down, getting ready for sleep. So we want to look at our stimulation earlier in the day and then less stimulation in the evening, unless you're a healthy adult doing HIIT exercise, and then it wouldn't affect you.
But that's a healthy stress in the evening.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah.
And so we've got, it's funny because when I was researching for this, I always learn something.
Yeah. We always learn something when we do
always.
research.
And look, all right, I've got my phone sitting there. It's a Oppo. It's a pretty cheap one. I don't, I'm not the phone fiend like some people are, because I'm old too.
Yeah.
Don't
You are,
see
Steve.
what she said there? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just true.
That is true.
So, I'm not a young 20-something-year-old, on TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah.
No, we've established this before. You actually are on TikTok, Steve.
It's just embarrassing. Because all I've heard about TikTok is that I won't even say.
It's definitely changed from what TikTok used to be.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
But there is an app that can help you sleep.
There is an app that can help
Isn't
you
that
sleep.
weird?
Yeah.
And it's like saying, oh, come on, what are you talking about? Well, they've done an actual study on it. And they did it on teenagers, adolescents, 12 to 16, so sort of teenagers. And what they did in this study was they gave them this app and they said, okay, will that help you sleep? Lo and behold, it helped them sleep. So I'll read the conclusion and we'll go through the study. It says, an app-derived program for insomnia could be a practical, non-stigmatising and scalable way to reduce symptoms of insomnia and depression among adolescents experiencing difficulty getting enough good quality sleep. App, a phone, it helps you sleep. I found this remarkable. It's an Australian study. And what they did was they took people between 12 and 16 and they randomised them into two groups. One they gave the app, one they didn't. And they had a reduction in insomnia after 6 weeks and a reduction in depression after 6 weeks. So quite remarkable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, gee whiz, what is this app? Now, it's called Sleep Ninja and it's free for anyone. Yeah, of course I've never heard of this.
No, I've never.
About 99% of the apps on the earth, I didn't, in the old days, I didn't really know what an app was.
Well, they didn't have apps when we were young, Steve.
Yeah, well, they didn't have mobile
didn't have
phones.
Facebook, believe it or not, people. They didn't even have internet when we were young, Steve.
They remember the phones had the coils of and remember, you're wondering what's on at the movies.
Yes.
You'd have to ring up this
you'd have to ring.
record number or look in the paper.
What about if you wanted to know the time, Steve, and you didn't have your watch on?
1194, I think it was.
And at the third stroke, remember
yes,
that?
it would be.
Oh, my God, we're so old,
6:40. Jeez, I remember that quite clearly, actually.
Yeah.
So there's this app around it that you can get. So, you've got a child, and this works for adults too, they believe. But, you've got somebody who wants to help with their sleep. Get them to download this app and it can be something useful. And it's scalable. So in other words, anyone can have it. And this is published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry, 2023. So this is a pretty recent study.
Yeah.
And really seems very easy. I've got a beautiful graph here which shows you the depression and sleep or insomnia rates, and it goes through what the app is, and I'm not going to explain that because it looks pretty complex. But just have a look at those apps. So, I mean, you can see the graph, the improvement there. The insomnia goes down, depression goes down, compared to the control. So really interesting.
Yeah, apps can be great. We talked about in the last one sound therapy as well. Sleep can be quite good as well.
Yeah.
So we talked about pink noise and white noise and brown noise and
the brown note.
The brown noise.
The brown note.
And the brown note.
So this sort of therapy is called cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia, or CBTI. Now, CBT is cognitive behavioural therapy, which is good for all sorts of conditions, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, all these sorts of things. And what it does is I'm not an expert in this area, but it changes the way you think about a certain sort of situation. For example, it reprograms you. So let's say you had a stressful event many years ago. It gets you to come to terms with that stressful event. Really interesting therapy, CBT therapy. And this is CBTI, which everyone can Google. So there's another one that's an online internet-based one. And you're not going to believe what it's called. You've heard of Sleep Ninja. What about Shut Eye? SHUTI. So I love that. That's absolutely classic. So there's all these online things you can look up, and there is studies showing it actually helps. I mean, we're trying to get people off the damn phone. Now you need a phone to help you sleep.
I know, yes. So I guess you'd have to put your phone on red light.
Yep.
Red eye, what is it? Red light filter?
Yeah, the blue filter thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's definitely, and look, we could talk about just a few more of the not so commonly known sleep hygiene tips.
Yeah.
We could talk about.
I've got one, but you go first. I want to hear yours.
So I think, well, this one is probably commonly known, I suppose. But
Okay.
Heat. So being hot can really impact your sleep.
It does.
So because your body will drop temperature to help it sleep. When you're sleeping, your body will drop down in temperature, and that helps to keep you asleep. So if you come up a little bit high, you get a little bit too hot, you wake up. So really important to be as cool as you can. So there's people say hot showers before bed, hot bath, which can be really great if it's not in a hot area.
Me.
We live in a really hot area, Steve.
No.
A lot of humidity at the moment. So I usually say to people, have a cold bath, purely cold bath. Not an ice bath, just a cold bath before bed. It helps to drop your core temperature, and it helps you to sleep a little bit better than if you didn't allow yourself to cool down. You can get those cooling blankets as well, and cooling mats that you can put on your bed.
Yep.
I'm going to get one of those because it's just so hot at the moment. I can't sleep.
Oh, we record this in Queensland, which is a tropical state in Australia, and everyone knows Australia's hot and that, but like lately it's been stinking hot. Humidity.
It's like living in one giant sauna. I think humidity the other day where we lived was said 97%. It's pretty high. So, it's very hot. But you want to try to keep your core temperature cooler, and that will help your sleep. So, cold baths can be really good for that. I prefer a bath than a shower because you can just lay in a bath for half an hour and it really will drop your temperature down. And you get out and you feel great and really relaxed. And I find that can be really beneficial for sleep. If you're in a warm area, people, don't do it so much if you're in a cold area. No. That's where you have the hot bath. Or, that can also relax you, not so much to drop the temperature. But a cool bath in a hot environment can be quite beneficial to help.
It's remarkable. Just simple things like that. Having a cool shower or a cool bath, as you say, reduce the body temperature. I think it's remarkable. What else? Have you got any other little tips? I've got a cool one, but you keep going.
Look, I've got one that we don't have any actual studies on.
So I
have seen this in clinic is EMFs, or particularly like modems. So, your internet modems.
Yes.
A lot of people will have them, say they have their room next to an office or next to the dining room, and they've even got their bed head back butted up against the wall, and on the other side of the wall is the modem.
Oh, yeah.
And that can actually be quite disruptive. Some people are quite sensitive to EMFs. Interestingly, people with histamine issues can react to EMFs.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you do struggle to sleep, or you have children that you find struggle to sleep, and if there is a modem anywhere near where they're sleeping, whether it be on the side of the wall, turn it off at night and see if that helps improve sleep. So that can be something that's a little bit more left of centre, but for some people that can be really helpful because that constant EMF buzzing around your head is at night time can be stimulating.
True. I mean, it's toxin. It really is a toxin for the body. And, the electromotive frequencies that you talk about, EMF, is very, very linked to brain waves and all this sort of stuff. And we know that there's certain frequencies in the body that literally vibrate human molecules, like the one that vibrates water molecules you'll find in the microwave oven. Now, it's contained, but that's shooting around the air now. This is only around 20 gigahertz.
Yeah.
So there's frequencies for 5G, which are, and I'm sounding like a conspiracy theory, but they
we're not getting into the conspiracy theories, but I have seen it. I have seen people that it can be quite sensitive to it. And even having your mobile phone, don't have your mobile phone beside your bed.
No.
I've stopped doing that. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
But then see what? There's two schools of thought here. One, you'll get up and you can't wake up and you can't sleep, so you just check the time. Brings the light on. I've done that multiple times.
Really?
Yeah.
I never do that.
Well, because I wake up a lot. So there's issues with sleep if I have bad night's sleep. And also the other reason is that possibly EMFs, if there's plugged in near your bed. So whether you go with that or you don't go with that, but if you're having trouble sleeping, and a good test is children, because children don't think like this, but if you turn the modems off around where your children are sleeping, if they have trouble, and see if that improves their sleep at all. But don't have your phone in the room if you can help it. You go back to the old alarm clocks, alarm the old school alarms where you don't have to have your phone there to have your alarm on if you need an alarm to wake up. And there's some really good alarm clocks now that start really slowly, so they will gradually increase in the alarm, so it starts very softly, so it's just not like a banging alarm waking you up. So there's some really nice alarm clocks out there, and they don't have digital displays and things for the light. So that's my little hack.
That's a good little
technology.
Hack.
Yeah.
Can I give you a little weird little hack?
Yeah.
There's a study here published 2023, and it shows you that eating kiwi fruit can help you sleep.
Yeah, I like this.
And recover as an elite athlete. So this was published just this year. Oh, no, it's not this year anymore, last year, 2023. And I found, I'll just read that conclusion, these findings broadly suggest that kiwi fruit does positively impact on sleep and recovery in elite athletes. So if you're just having 2 medium-sized green kiwi fruit an hour before bed, it found a remarkable way to improve positive impact on all aspects of sleep and recovery in elite athletes. And they're remarkable.
I mean, kiwi fruit is amazing for the microbiome. It's an amazing prebiotic for the microbiome as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, the effects on the microbiome could be helping that as well.
I know, isn't that remarkable?
Yeah.
And I mean, if I'm just going to show you this, but look at the data. Look how much of the baseline and then post-intervention.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Remarkable, drop in insomnia index. So it dropped dramatically, almost to zero. In other words, there was no problem sleeping.
Yeah.
And the p-value was less than 0.01, so really quite significant.
Yeah.
And so what it improved was sleep quality, so, the quality of your sleep, sleep latency, getting to sleep duration, it improved that. It improved sleep efficiency. It helped with sleep disturbance medication, and it helped with daytime functioning, and the PSQI global score, which is the score of all those things. Everything.
Wow.
It just does everything for you.
Yeah.
So you've eaten dinner and you feel like something sweet. Have a couple of kiwi fruit.
Yeah.
Now, if you want something a bit sweeter than that, maybe put a bit of extra sweetener on it, like, drops of stevia or something. Just something simple.
Yeah.
And get you off eating your ice cream or all that crap that people eat.
Well, we could talk about eating throughout the day to help improve your sleep.
Let's do it.
So, I mean, obviously the ultimate goal, and that's for everything when we talk about health overall, blood sugar regulation is super important for metabolic health.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that we're having a nice balanced blood sugar throughout the day, no extreme spikes and no extreme drops. So obviously, around exercise, our blood sugar goes up. That's all normal. But we want to eat throughout the day to maintain good blood sugar balance. So that's going back to having your proteins, making sure you're having your protein with each meal. Don't have too many starchy carbohydrates unless it's around what you're exercising, that type of thing. And keep your meals nice and metabolically balanced throughout the day. So that when you get to the evening, you haven't had extreme highs and extreme crashes, because that's what dysregulates everything. As soon as your blood sugar goes out of balance, that will trigger your stress response. So it'll throw up your cortisol, and then that throws out your balance even more. So keep your meals throughout the day, with a nice macronutrient balance.
Yep.
And then, as you said, if you do want something sweet after dinner, have something like some kiwi fruit, or have, some. If you have dairy, you can have some full-fat Greek yogurt, because you've got the fat in there as well and the protein.
Yes,
but
and
have something
lactum,
that's not a quick sugar, like a simple carbohydrate. So that's really important. But in saying that, some people, and this is where continuous glucose monitors can come in really.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they can be really helpful for people, because people's blood sugar, they will respond to different foods. Different people will respond to different foods differently. So someone might have a green apple and be fine, and someone else might have a green apple and it spikes their blood sugar.
Yeah. So
it's a really good way to see what spikes your blood sugar and what doesn't, and it also monitors your blood sugar overnight. And I have had some clients and their blood sugars have dropped way down.
Right.
And then that wakes them up because their blood sugar's dropped. So then they want something to eat to try, and their body's trying to regulate their blood sugar.
Yeah.
So they're the people that you at night time have your complex carbohydrates, have some sweet potato, something like that, and that will actually help to make sure your blood sugar remains stable overnight. So that's another hack. So if you want to go into the whole continuous glucose monitor thing, that's really super interesting. They're not cheap. But they're super interesting. You only have to do it for two weeks or so, and you can track everything and see what your body responds to sugar-wise and what it doesn't. and what your body's doing overnight, what your blood sugar levels are doing overnight.
Because you don't know. I mean, the gentleman behind the camera, gentleman. Hey.
Wow, he's definitely been promoted.
Talking him up here. Talks about he's very tech savvy and does watches and he shows me REM sleeps and all this. It's really cool.
Yeah, he's a bit of a tracker.
Yeah, it's good. I just sleep like the old school. Just go to sleep.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing when I'm sleeping. Have a clue.
We don't want to know, Steve.
No. It's just like, stop snoring, you idiot. My wife says that. But, it's like it really is interesting because that's science and we've got to embrace that, especially if you're having problems sleeping. I'm a pretty good sleeper generally, so I'm pretty good with that. The only thing that kills me for sleep, and really does, is if I have a daytime nap. And that's one of the things you've got to avoid. And it's tempting. And it's like a drug. Because let's say you got a weekend and you didn't sleep well or whatever, you went out late Friday night, Saturday night, whatever, and then Sunday you're feeling really tired, comes 3 or 4 in the arvo, I'll just lay down for an hour or two. You're screwed.
Yeah.
It really screws with people. And it's one of the no-nos in the studies where they say that the daytime naps can affect sleep. And people go, it doesn't affect me. It's like, it may affect your deepness of sleep and your recovery sleep.
Yeah.
So, but then you're tired, and you've got to make sure you keep the strict regimen.
Well, it comes back to routines, doesn't it? And we have so many rhythms. Our body, physiologically, we run on circadian rhythms.
Yep.
So impacting that cycle will definitely impact your sleep. So you want to, if you can, avoid having naps. Power naps, I think there is some studies, we don't have them, but power naps can be useful.
Beneficial,
for
they say less than 30
and things
minutes.
like this. So there you go. So power naps usually 5 minutes, 10 minutes, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how people power nap, but I don't know.
Do you do it?
No, I can't sleep during the day. I can't nap. Never been a napper.
Oh, I can.
Can you?
Yeah, if I want to, and I've got to be careful because you if I have a nap, they can't control, you know.
That's what I mean, people that do a power nap, how do they?
Well,
so I'm just going to fall asleep now and wake up in 10 minutes' time.
I think if you fall asleep when you need to go to the toilet or something, you can have a shorter sleep like the old Indians used to do.
Sorry, go back to that. If you need to fall asleep, fall asleep when you need to go to the toilet.
All right, let's say you need to have a pee, but you're not busting, but you need to have a pee. You have a little power nap then, and then your bladder wakes you up.
Oh.
So you get up. That's what the Indians used to do. They drink a lot of water before they were,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Stuff.
So they wanted a power nap, so they drink a lot of water, and then right, okay.
And then they wake up because hope they wake up.
Oh.
Otherwise, that'll be awkward.
Well, that'll be awkward.
But so that's a problem too. And in having too much of those daytime naps, because you're tempted, and then you're tired the next day, so you have another nap, and then
it's changing your whole circadian rhythm around, isn't it? It's changing your routine. You need to have one of the classic sleep hygiene tips is have regular sleep and wake hours. So don't change the time you go to sleep, and when you wake up, like you said, on the weekends, don't change it. That sort of thing. So,
we talked about that, didn't we? It's like like people say, and it always sort of roll my eyes. I don't care what people do, but they say, I'm going to sleep in the weekends here. And it's like, that's the worst thing you can do. It's like throw your rhythms out.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to sleep in. And then they have this spike of cortisol in the morning and completely ignore it and lie in bed. So you can't ignore nature.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. When you first wake up, that's your cortisol waking you up. So you don't want to then bypass that and go back to sleep. So that's your body's natural way of waking you up. So
I've got a family member that does that. Quite regularly.
Really? Oh, okay.
And it's dangerous.
I think I know the one you mean.
Yeah, and it's very dangerous. Very dangerous. But so it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's because they mightn't have slept well the night before. It's very tempting to do that, but it's really a bad idea, isn't it?
And if you are somebody that struggles to go to bed at the same time, or you're staying awake well into the night, watching TV to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and you need to improve your sleep because you're not sleeping well, you can work on retraining your circadian rhythm.
Yep.
So that's where you want to start pulling your sleep time back by 5 minutes. So if you went to bed at 11:30 at night, then go to bed at 11:25 for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Even up to a week. And then 11:20, and do it super gradually, pull the time back that you're sleeping. And then work on your lighting as well. So make sure that everything's dark. So, as soon as the sun goes down, and we talked about this in a previous podcast, turn all the lights down really low. We'll use lamps, circadian lighting, so that changes.
That's what I do.
Yeah, so you're not getting the bright light.
Yep.
And on the smart TVs, they do have the eye saver mode, so that does take away some of that blue light. And then that's one way to start to retrain your circadian rhythm. Because if you say to people, you've just got to go to bed by 10 o'clock and they go to bed at 11:30, there's no way they're going to sleep.
They're going to lie there.
Even if they're compliant and go to bed, they're just going to lie there.
Nah.
So you want to slowly pull back your sleep time so your body just so slowly gets used to it without being too much of a shock. So, and then retrain that. And then in the daytime, you can do it the other way around. So, if you're somebody that gets up way past sunset or sunrise, then start to slowly pull that back as well. So you're getting up when the sun comes up and you're slowing down when the sun's down, getting ready to go to sleep.
That's it. And also one other thing, I know we're getting short on time, but the microbiome. I've seen rat studies where they've given them jet lag microbiome from a jet lag rat, and those rats become jet lagged.
Yes.
So the microbiome has a lot to do with your sleep patterns too.
Completely. I mean, we produce a lot of our neurotransmitters. Obviously, we've talked about that before.
Absolutely.
Up to 90% of neurotransmitters, messengers that talk to the brain. So if your microbiome's out, we haven't gone into any of the physiological things, but that will definitely impact your sleep. I mean, that can come back to blood sugar regulation as well with the microbiome. Parasite infections, a lot of parasites are active around midnight.
Great.
So if you get sort of symptoms of parasites in the middle of the night, that's usually when it'll happen, and that can wake you up. So that comes back to the microbiome.
The old naturopathic thing about that. But I won't detail that because people are probably eating.
Yeah.
But that's remarkably important, and I think we've covered off a lot of aspects here about how we can help with your sleep, how a history of insomnia was treated with terribly with medications, and to this very day they're still, I think, overprescribed because people want the quick fix, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't want what's causing the insomnia and get that. And start exercising if you're not exercising, and keep your rhythms. Try and keep it regular. Don't sleep in when you can. Don't go back to bed. Don't ignore the physiology of the body. Not me saying that, not you saying that. The physiology, cortisol spikes in the morning. Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Get up and do something active.
Yeah.
Go and hunt and gather for your food, and if you don't need that, go exercise.
Exactly.
And you can exercise after work if you want, but I agree with you. Nice little walk after work. Get intense exercise. Keep off the caffeine. Late in the afternoon. Try things like kiwi fruit.
Yeah, kiwi fruit. And then we've gone through a lot of our things that we like to use naturopathically for sleep. So all our herbs, our passion flower, our California poppies, isiphus, those really nice calming herbs can be really good. Taurine is really good as well, and glycine. So if we're talking amino acids, they're really good to throw in as well. And in the morning, vice versa, you want to have your stimulating nutrients in the morning. So your B vitamins, quite stimulating, but very good for the nervous system. Things like that. So ginseng, those types of things are great.
I know, we've done podcasts on those things. They're absolutely vitally important, and they'll help break. What I like about the herbs is that they'll break this rhythm of insomnia, and they're really good. But and then keep the pleasant sleeping, and just take care of yourself. Generally, eat well. Don't have the sugar spikes, you say. And you should enjoy a good night's sleep.
Yeah, and sleep improvement doesn't just happen at night. It happens all day. So the things you do throughout the day are going to impact your sleep quality for the better or the worse. So if you're making sure that everything's balanced throughout the day, you're managing your stress, you're eating well, getting some exercise in the morning or earlier in the day, that's all going to be beneficial for your improved sleep in the evening.
Absolutely.
And don't what's the word? The sleep is vitally important.
Yes.
So don't downplay the importance of sleep in your life. If you're not sleeping well, and you do have some health issues or some imbalances in your system, and you're not sleeping well, I'd be looking at sleep as something to really try and work on improving.
Good on you, Nic.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's about all we've got time for.
Yeah.
All right, well, you have a good one, and have a good night's sleep, everybody, if you're listening to this late at night.
That's right. If
and
you're not already asleep.
We'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Night.
Take care. Bye.
I said night. Bye. Night, guys.
Wow. Are you okay?
I'm sorry, Steve. Okay. It's the same. Oh, no, it's empty. Oh, no, it's not. Look, I knew that this was probably... All right, let's
I'm
do
going to cry in a minute.
Okay. All right. I did warn you. Okay, let's go.